Hey, have you ever wondered if smoking weed affects your erections, your erectile dysfunction, or your sex drive? Then stay tuned, because today what I'm going to talk about is what the research says about it, the differences in weed selections, and the techniques you should use if you choose to smoke weed. Because hey, my name is Brian, aka Uncle B, and for the last 20 years I've been a sexual performance coach with African Fly, the liquid aphrodisiac. And during that time, and especially since doing this YouTubes and getting the comments, there are a whole bunch of guys who are asking this question, should I smoke weed? Is it good or is it bad for your erections? Well, I'm going to tell you specifically why there are confusions in the studies that are already out there, what happens to your body when you smoke weed, and what types and how much you should smoke when it comes to your sex drive and your erections and, anything dealing with erectile dysfunction. And as a bonus, I'm going to put you up on game. Your uncle's going to put you up on game on what not to do so weed does not destroy your life. And as always, want to thank all the subscribers out there, because the channel is really growing. I really appreciate all of you and your comments that you give. And of course, if you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And what I'm going to do is break this down till it cannot be broken anymore. All right, so the first thing, let's go ahead and talk about what happens when you smoke weed. Now, let me just go ahead and break down the list real quick. When you smoke weed, it messes with your arteries and blood vessels. I mean, you're actually inhaling smoke. That's why one of the other effects is that it causes inflammation, because you're actually inhaling smoke coming from a flame that's right in front of you. So we all know the stories. You heard it before. You're getting lazy. Your memory sort of goes. It's harder to learn things. It lowers your impulse control. That's the reason why, as soon as you think about those munchies, it's time to go make that 7-Eleven run. And sometimes you end up doing things you don't normally do. And here's the big thing for my guys out there. If you're having erection issues, you're having ED problems, adding weed to the situation is not going to help. It's actually taking things in the opposite direction. This is for people who are on the upward spiral, or, they don't have an issue. But if you already have an issue, don't add weed to the situation. Now, as far as what weed does do, it actually increases the dopamine in your body. That's the pleasure hormone, if you will. It controls the reward center and attention. That's the reason why people like to smoke weed, listen to music, or watch movies, or have sex, because part of it is that it lowers your inhibitions. So, you'll start doing things that are a little bit more risque. You're like, hey, let's switch the game up. You feel more relaxed. And by the way, weed has been used for centuries in countries all around the world, including India. The Germanic tribes used it. Places in Africa where weed has been used for centuries as an aphrodisiac. But let's go ahead and break down what the science says. And basically what the science is saying, that is still confusing. There's not a consensus on whether it's good or bad for your erections, for your sex drive. And here's a couple of reasons why. I mean, the first thing is you have to have an idea of the sexual performance beforehand. And so you can have something to compare it to, one. And two, when you're talking about individuals, you're talking about, and weed, you're talking about the THC and the CBD. So just to break it down real quick, THC is the high portion of it. It's the cannabinoid that hits your brain, the endocannabinoid system in your body that says, hey, let's go ahead and get high. The CBD side of it is the health side of it. So that's the reason why you're seeing all the CBD oils that are coming out, and they're talking about these different health benefits. And when it comes down to it, here's the real deal. Too much THC is going to affect your sex drive. It's going to affect your sperm count. It's going to affect a lot of things. So, a lot of guys talk about these different strains of weed. You got the Loud Pack, the Manuskin Thunderfuck, all these different names and brands. Really, they're talking about the higher levels of THC. And this was not always the case. Back in the days when Dizzy Gillespie and all the jazz greats were into smoking weed, you didn't have all that high level of THC. You just had the CBD in it. Once people recognized the THC is the part that'll get you higher, they started growing it so the THC will be more abundant throughout the plant. The reason why these studies can be really off is because the THC and CBD balance really affects people individually in different ways. Some people get panicked. They get anxious when they smoke weed. Other people, everything's wonderful. It's great. So it just really depends on the person and on that THC CBD balance. So If you're trying to get the aphrodisiac side out of it, you need to take it in lower to moderate doses, preferably on the lower side. And like I said, it can make a difference because, for example, I knew a girl, she loved smoking before having sex. However, if she got the high THC, it was sleepy time for her. She just couldn't handle it. She was just like, yeah, I tell you, I'm gonna do some things to you. Yeah, that's not a good sign. So for my fellas out there who want to go ahead and smoke, here are the things to keep in mind. The first thing is you want to jumpstart it. You want to get, like I said before, you want that low dosage. So you just a couple of puffs. That's it. You just want to jumpstart. You don't want to start burning yourself out, running laps or something like that. You just want that jumpstart so you can enjoy the sex. You want to have that balance of THC and CBD. And of course, smoking is the best delivery for it into your system. If you're dealing with edibles, it's harder to measure them, so you can have a great experience or a very unpleasurable experience. So it's better to go with the smoking. When it comes to the vape pen, I highly recommend limited use of the vape pen because, it's an ingredient that's been on the planet for less time than you've been alive. So we're not sure exactly what happens when people have been using it for 20, 30 years or something like that. And the thing to remember is that weed is not a cure-all. It's not something that you're gonna say, oh, well, I'm having problems now, I'm just gonna go ahead and smoke weed and, oh, look, an erection. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Smoking weed does not replace having good health. Daily use of weed can end up having a bad effect on you, so you don't want to overdo it like we do with everything else in our society. So here's a bonus. Here's your uncle putting you up on game when it comes to smoking in an enclosed building, an enclosed area. We're talking about apartments, hotels inside of a building. The thing to remember is that, one, under the federal law in the United States, weed is still a Schedule I substance. That means it is banned. And if you get caught by, let's say you're renting an apartment or you're in a hotel and they're smelling all that weed smoke, you can get evicted. You can get taken out of the hotel, and it does not matter if you have a medical card or not, because the federal laws is what most ownership is going to go with, and they're saying you got to get out. We don't care. So if you're going to go through this process, if you're going to smoke inside of an apartment, inside of a hotel, these are the things that you need to know. The first thing is to use a bowl. This is a bowl. It's just small. You can go to it. Most gas stations, they got it like this. You put the weed in there, you close it off, and you take a smoke. The thing is, you get very little smoke out of this. So this is much better than having a whole bunch of smoke filling up the room. Hotboxing it in your apartment is not a good idea at all. You will get evicted. When it comes to the blunts and other leaves of tobacco, these aren't really that good for your period overall, just because, it's a leaf. This leaf is actually supposed to decay. So they put the preservatives and things in there to keep it going. And this thing will smoke up a room, no time flat. When it comes to the joints, the doobies, whatever you want to call it, there's thousands of names for weed. You do not want to use this either inside of an apartment because of the high level of smoke. And the other thing you can consider doing, especially nowadays because you have such a variety because of the new laws and you can go to different stores, you can see how much THC is in the bud. You can see how much CBD is in the bud, and you can also ask for something that does not smell, something that you have a lower smell. So, the smell is still going to be there regardless. The effects are going to be there regardless, but it has a lower smell. And of course, you want to put a towel under the door. Now, if you're in a hotel or apartment and you're going to smoke, which I highly, highly recommend you do not do. If you're going to smoke a blunt or a joint, then you put the towel under the door and then you go into the bathroom. You turn the shower on. What's going to happen then is the steam is going to go up and you can smoke in there. And of course, you want to put a towel under the door there also. What will happen is because of the steam, it will the smoke will go up, it will get captured with the steam and it will stay there. And you're also in a bathroom, which, really they designed a bathroom so it has just a vent leaving out, not going into other people's rooms. When you're smoking in a room, it's smoke. It will go everywhere. It will go up, it will go down, it will go where it's smoke. So when you're doing it in a bathroom, it helps a little bit. It's still going to stink like crazy in that bathroom, but it's safer. Once again, highly recommend that you do not do that. It's better just to go ahead and get the bowl. So in conclusion, smoking weed is not healthy for you, especially with the high THC and the overconsumption of the weed. Though medical research is not sure about the effects of smoking weed and erectile dysfunction and your sex drive. I mean, first of all, you shouldn't smoke weed. You shouldn't have a reason to smoke weed. If you need weed to have better sex, then you need to focus on your health so you can just have the better sex. If you're going to use weed to increase your smoke drive just to have more pleasure out of it, the two things to remember, you want the THC and the CBD to be in balance, and you want to take it at a low dosage. You just want to start the engine. You don't want to literally burn it out. And of course, if you're smoking in an enclosed area, make sure you use the bowl. Make sure you don't get the stanky weed. None of that loud pack. Put a towel under the door and use the shower technique. And of course, open the windows. So, question of the day, do you think weed helps or hurts your sex drive? Let us know in the comment section below. I mean, the thing about weed is that everybody gets affected differently. So just want an informal survey. And if you don't think you ever needed to use weed and your sex is great, go ahead and leave that down there too. And as always, hit the like button, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell, and of course, check out some of the other videos that we have around here. And as always, this is Uncle B saying, get your game up. Peace out.